tuned. Now, it is hailed as the biggest and most expensive aerial surveillance program on the planet. We're now just over 1 month into New South Wales' new shark drone operation, launched after a horror run of attacks over summer.
It's put more eyes in the sky across more than 70 beaches, with drones flying every day of the year. But with the government admitting no technology can completely eliminate the risk of a shark attack, the question remains, has it actually made the water safer?
For more, we're joined by Steve Pearce, New South Wales Surf Lifesaving CEO. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
OK, 1 month in, would you call it a success so far?
I'd have to say that, I guess, the amount of countermeasures that we've engaged in to stop sharks from interacting with people, also the amount of rescues that we've actually initiated because we've had drones in the air looking for people as well, I think it has been a real great success so far.
Right, so we're just looking at some of the numbers here, Steve.
Yes.
600 sharks sighted. I mean, that's a huge number.
Yep, that's massive. Considering last year we saw around 2,000 in total, when you just think about we've done 25,000 flights already in 1 month. Last year we did 100,000 in total. So this is a really massive project, and it's got great coverage up and down the coastline.
What species mainly?
Yeah, look, at the moment we're seeing a lot of white sharks, a lot of whaler sharks as well, obviously sprinkling the bull sharks, but the bull sharks start to come into more of the summer months, and the white sharks are around because the whales are still migrating up and down the coastline. But as I said, the pilots are spotting them pretty quickly. We're warning the surfers. Unfortunately, I've seen some footage where some surfers they refuse to leave the water, even though the drone's almost tapping them on the head saying there's a large shark there. So it still comes down to personal responsibility.
Steve, where are you spotting these sharks? Are they far out or are they pretty close to shore? We saw some horrific examples of that over the summer. Where are you seeing them? Yeah,
look, people would be surprised. We actually see a lot of the sharks only around about 50 metres offshore, some 30 metres offshore, some within the surf break in itself. But that's the whole intent of the drone program, to pick these sharks up, and we're seeing them. Sometimes they are close to swimmers and surfers, but the drones set the sirens off. You know, the pilots will talk to the people. But again, it's up to the people in the water to listen to that alert and to exit.
Would there be circumstances where a surfer wouldn't hear it, wouldn't know, or they're just ignoring it?
Look, I think they just ignore it in some instances.
Really?
I've watched some footage, and there's in one particular one quite a large shark, and the surfers were just ignoring the siren there.
See, look at this.
Yeah.
This is curl. So this was this situation which we saw last week, where a suspected great white came very, very close to the surfers and the swimmers. How does something like this happen with the drone program? Could you talk us through that?
That's a really great example, because that's the example I was telling you about. After we saw this footage, I wanted to get a better understanding about what occurred. And when we saw the footage, we actually had picked the shark up very early. And we're notifying the surfers, through the alarms on the drones. But as I said, some surfers just elected to stay out in the water. Look, it's great conditions for a surf, but if I'm out there and the drone's sending a siren, I'm out of the water pretty quickly.
We're looking at some of the flight map here as well, Steve. You can sort of see that it's a spaghetti mess, but you guys have obviously got a lot of coverage there. A month into this program now, where are you sort of seeing the weaknesses in it, and where would you like to improve?
Look, I'd have to say it's just more about the awareness, about people understanding what to do when they do hear a siren in itself. So the program itself, we're getting great coverage, and that's going to be expanded even more into the summer. Once we get into summer, we're flying from 6 a.m. in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. So as I said, we're expecting to do around 500,000 flights. And when you see those flight maps, there is extensive coverage. So that one drone is just flying the one beach continuously all day.
So are you saying in this instance that a siren would have been going off and that surfer would have been ignoring it?
I wouldn't say that particular surfer, but the footage I saw, there was surfers not paying attention to the drone and the siren. And if you think, well, did they hear the siren? In this instance, the drone pilot probably dropped it down only around 8 foot above the surfers' heads to set the sirens off.
So, does the drone, create the siren, or is there sirens on the beaches as well?
Both.
Talk us through what's happening.
Both. So if the pilot picks up a shark and it's a target shark, and in this case a big white, the drone pilot will take the drone in and set the siren off on the drone, and that's really loud. The swimmers and the surfers should be able to hear it. At the same time, the pilot's talking to the lifeguards on the beach. They'll set off the beach siren as well. Now, if it's a really urgent situation, the pilot will actually even drop the drone even closer and start to talk to the surfers and swimmers through our speakers and give them some instructions about look, there's something pretty big around you, you need to exit the water. So we've got all these fail-safe measures and there's alarms going off everywhere.
Wow. You can't help some people if they want to be out there. I suppose, what can you guys actually do in that situation? You've done everything.
Yeah, look, so again, our job is to spot the shark and to alert the swimmers and the surfers. The lifeguards do a fantastic job. They'll put their jet skis out in the water. Our lifesavers will put the rubber ducks out as well to try and herd them away. Yeah. But again, we can only spot the sharks and we can only ask people to listen to that. Now, that's not to be to set fear for summer. It's going to be a really hot summer. We're going to be really busy. But as I said, we have a great program. This is world leading. This is an amazing program with such great surveillance. But I just ask people to understand that just because the drone's there doesn't necessarily mean we won't not see a shark or there may be an incident, but gives us a great opportunity to engage first.
Yeah, okay, so if it's there and you hear anything, be alert if you see the drone there and listen out is the message, I guess.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.